I left the tomato out a little bit too long, and now I've got some fruit flies to deal with. Even though the tomato is gone, it seems like the fruit flies are persistent, which is why I got this. I went looking for a fruit fly trap, and I have tried some of the more conventional ones, like this one, which is baited with something like apple cider vinegar, and it works pretty well. But one of the issues I have with it is that sometimes flies will get close, but they don't fly in. So this is something that's a little bit more active. When the flies get close to it, it has a fan within it, so it will go ahead and pull them in. So they now need to go within proximity of the trap instead of actually going into the trap voluntarily. And while I got this for fruit flies, they discuss it being suitable for other types of pests. So they mentioned fruit flies, they mentioned gnats, mosquitoes, and no-see-ums, which I think I've heard of that before, but those are very small blood-sucking flies that you don't really even see. And so one of the features that they point out about this is that there's a UV light on it. This purple is not just an aesthetic decision. The UV light is for attracting certain types of insects. And once you get close enough to it, the fan is supposed to pull it in. So now let's get this open and see what's on the inside. Okay, so starting from the top here, they give us a USB-C plug. And so USB-C to barrel jack connector. That's a little disappointing. I would have wished that they just used regular USB connectors so you could use any charger with it. So these are glue boards. This is when the flies go inside, they're supposed to get stuck to that and then you can throw it away. But just keep in mind, that's the consumable. I need to look up how much those cost because longer term, that's really where the majority of the cost of this could be depending on how often you use it in here. Okay, I've got everything out of the box. So this is the product itself. It was wrapped in plastic and bubble wrap. I've taken that off. And it came with an instruction manual. The instruction manual is only really 2 pages of content. So you can see here, this is all the printed material for the instruction manual. But let's get this turned on and see how it works. So the first thing to note is a barrel jack plugs in here. And then of course the other end goes to the USB. So we have a standard setting and a low setting. Anything else on here? Oh, looks like if I push this, okay, so this is the hinge area that opens up the bottom where the flies are at. Okay, so I can see exactly how this works now. So it looks like whenever it's turned on, the fan will be actively pushing them down to where the glue board is. Of course, there are holes big enough on each side for the air to get out. I'm wondering if the gnats would be able to get out through that too. But it looks like for the most part, the way it's going to work is since they have been actively pushed down on the glue board, they should be stuck there. I'm going to take the USB cable and instead of plugging it into the power supply that came with it, I'm going to plug it into my camera's battery supply here. So let's test this out. If I press the low setting, it turns on. You might be able to make out the purple that are the blue or purple from the ultraviolet light that has turned on. And I can hear that the fan is gently blowing right now. If I select the high setting, I can see that the fan is well, not to see, but I can hear that the fan is blowing harder. It looks like the light is a little bit brighter. And to turn it off, looks like if I press the button again, then it just turns off. So that's all that there is to the operation of this. The next thing to do is to actually use it. Now, I haven't actually completed setting it up yet. To set it up, I need to put one of the sticky pads in the bottom of it. Shows me where to peel the paper from. And okay, now this makes sense. So peeling the paper off, this is the sticky surface with the text up. So using it is just a matter of setting it in here. It'll rest on the base and closing this back. So now that it's baited, I'm going to put it somewhere close to the flies. I think I'm going to use a low setting and we'll see how many flies that I end up catching. So I thought it better to come outside as far as showing how this worked. And it's a bit disappointing. The simple trap that is just apple cider vinegar inside of a container worked out a lot better than this electronic one does. And the simple one is of course a lot cheaper too. As far as the failures occurred, while I do have like a few of the fruit flies stuck here on the sheet, as it turns out, whenever some of them get pulled down in here, they don't necessarily get pushed against the paper sufficiently well. And when they don't, they can actually come crawling back out through these little holes that are on the side for the passage of air. I mean, there need to be some modifications for this to work. But if those fruit flies can get out through the holes, I imagine those even smaller flies that were on the package could probably also come out through the holes. Who knows? Maybe this might still work for regular house flies. I am doubtful because I feel like the second you turn it off, it's possible for them to work their way back up through the top. So just as a simple experiment, I got some white felt and used that as a filter in here to prevent flies from coming out. So I can see there's one fly in here now. Of course, I'm putting this felt on the inside. This blocks the holes to keep the flies from coming out, but it also is going to lower the airflow. Something else that I found that's inadequate about this is there's no reason for flies to really go towards it. The simple container with the apple cider vinegar, that apple cider vinegar is a bait of types. It will attract the flies into the trap. But for this other trap, yeah, there's no reason for them to fly near it. So my final verdict on this is don't get this, save your money, just get this simple trap. It just works out a lot better.